But it's stated in the talking points memo, President Obama doesn't see it that way. Joining us now from Washington, the former head of the Central Intelligence Agency, Ambassador James Woolsey. So, Ambassador, you just heard Charles Krauthammer and I talk about delusion on President Obama's part. You say?
I tilt more in Charles's direction on this. I think it's illusionary. I think he's trying to set up a situation where he comes up with a narrative, and then the narrative is what they reiterate. And if something departs from the narrative, an uncomfortable fact, they try not to talk about it or deal with it, or if in the worst case they may very slightly change the narrative. They go backwards. They start with the public relations and end up with the facts, whereas what one ought to do, I would think, is start by understanding the facts, develop a policy and a strategy and tactics, and change your tactics if you have to.
There are people who say the president does not understand or accept any factual data given to him. He just simply rejects it. Let's get to the United States, though. Obviously, ISIS has made threats to the homeland here, and with the porous borders and a whole bunch of other things in play, it seems to me that it will be happening fairly soon. Am I wrong?
Something will, I'm afraid, yes.
The main vulnerability of the country is what?
Well, I think one of the vulnerabilities, I mean, we're an open society, so it's very easy to kill large numbers of people. That's a big vulnerability. But I think we have a very dangerous situation in part because of the so-called reforms we've made in our intelligence collection, particularly communications intelligence. We didn't need to make those changes that followed the Snowden disputes. And they've made it a lot harder for us to figure out what our opponents are doing. In the meantime, commercial encryption has come along with PlayStations and the like, which make it easier for them on the other side to hide things from us. And we are not as into the other side's thinking as we have been in most of our wars for years.
So the civil libertarians have managed to give an advantage to the enemy, but also our policies. I mean, we don't have the border secure. We have sanctuary cities. People run in and out of here at will. I mean, it's not hard to get in here.
The sanctuary cities are, I think, particularly a terrible idea. Why one would not enforce the law and avoid killings such as the one that gave rise to your proposed...
Yeah, Kate's Law, Kate Steinle, right?
I just don't understand. If someone is a convicted felon and ICE wants him in custody, then why should a city be willing or able to resist that?
Yeah, and the president has taken no action against sanctuary cities. Wasn't it frightening to you, and it was frightening to me, to see Hillary Clinton ask a direct question about radical Islam, immediately deflect to Islam? It's a total fraud. She knows what the question was. But that signals that Hillary Clinton, who could be next president, is going to absolutely carry out every single thing that Barack Obama is doing.
Well, she tried to turn it into a straw man, and that debate tactic was one many of us learned in about the 6th grade, and it was old hat by the 7th. I mean, it was ridiculous.
All right, but remember now, she could be the next president. So 38% of the American people still support President Obama's war on terror strategy, still think he's doing a good job against ISIS, according to a AP poll. 38% of the country doesn't get it. Does that surprise you?
I suppose not. We are often slow to anger, and his overall strategy has been, in a sense, to keep people comfortable that something is working out well, whereas, in fact, it is not. I think that we have an extremely serious situation on our hands, as serious as we've had since World War II, easily.
All right. Mr. Ambassador, thank you. Plenty more ahead.